Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 59, Volcanic Panic. The episode begins right at the end of the cliffhanger from last episode after we get a quick recap. And Ash swiftly orders Pikachu to dodge the Fire Blast somehow, even though it was like coming right fucking there. And of course, Pikachu fails to do this in time. But thankfully, it doesn't fall in, as it was able to grab the edge of the stadium in time. So at least it didn't fucking die, like Ash and the gang initially thought, because it took so long for Pikachu to come up. And Ash is just glad at this as well, as he immediately runs to Pikachu, being sorry for fucking putting him through that. And he immediately decides to forfeit the match, worried that Pikachu would just get knocked into the lava again. Pikachu is willing to battle again, and kind of even wants to, just to get revenge on the fucking Magmar, but Ash is like, nope, it's too fucking dangerous, we're gonna come back later. But he does promise Pikachu that he will in fact get the Volcano badge at some point. I mean, it's been way too long since he got a badge, he needs to get one soon. Blaine then returns to his disguise and decides to let Ash use the Cinnabar Volcano hot springs, since they would be able to heal Pikachu's burns, and boy, Pikachu sure was fucked after this battle. Ash immediately goes to the hot springs and starts bathing Pikachu and like cleaning it off and shit, much to Pikachu's delight, as Brock and Misty recommend to Ash that it was probably best that they just left Cinnabar Island after all, even after all the effort it took them to get there, and they go and find another gym instead, because Blaine was just fucking too tough. Ash rebuttals, though, that there was definitely a way he could defeat Blaine, being that if his goddamn Charizard would listen to him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the hot springs, Jesse and James were snorkeling underwater in an attempt to practice for when they were going to go catch Magmar. Essentially, they were planning to capture Blaine's Magmar, but in order to do so, they would have to go into the volcano, which was super fucking hot, so they were snorkeling underwater in the hot water, hoping that it would prepare their skin. As they do this, Meowth reviews the rest of the plan, so that they all were under the same page of what they were going to do. They were essentially going to pull an Indian phone scammer and go down to Magmar and claim that he had won a prize, and the Magmar would be so happy about this that he'd be caught off guard, so then Jesse and James could use their blasters to fucking freeze the Magmar in ice, so that its fire couldn't do anything to them, and they could capture him. Jesse and James almost fucking burn while they're down in the water, but pay attention to Meowth's review. They were now ready to initiate their plan. They go down the stairs, down the not-so-secret cave entrance, and they then go to the door, and they proceed to open it, with Meowth obviously burning his paws in the process. Once they've broken into the gym arena, Meowth then begins his scam as he tells Magmar that he's won a prize, and this leads Jesse and James to kick Meowth in the head, as he says it a little too loud and unbelievably, like, you're supposed to be convincing, man, but Meowth definitely wasn't. I don't think it would have mattered either way, though. I don't think Magmar would have fucking fallen for, you've won a prize, as the Magmar then comes out, which causes Jesse and James to immediately panic, but then they remember, hey, we have fucking ice blasters now, and they shoot the ice blasters just as they planned, which frees Magmar in ice, much to Meowth's shock that they actually managed to do a plan successfully, but Jesse and James are just happy. However, Team Rocket being Team Rocket, their plan can't go well for too long, so Magmar then just uses the immense flames around its body to quickly melt the ice, which makes Jesse and James pissed off, but they just try again, shooting the ice blasters. But they fire so many at such rapid pace, thinking that seemingly firing more ice would counteract the fire. Yeah, that's really gonna fucking work. All of the ice ends up going everywhere as they fire the ice blasters uncontrollably, and most of them don't even hit Magmar at all. They simply just hit the walls of the gym, which causes them to start cracking and fissuring. This obviously causes a lot of noise to be heard even from up in the hot springs, to the point where it alerts both Blaine and Ash and the gang as they run down into where Team Rocket was very urgently in order to check out what was going on. They certainly see some shit, as the entire arena is fucking cracking up and fucking basically being entirely destroyed at this point, and Blaine essentially states that it seemed like the volcano was having a reaction to all the ice, and that all the hot and cold temperatures being mixed together would cause the volcano to potentially erupt, killing them all if it did so, obviously. The ice and lava certainly were reacting with each other, as the ice was being melted by the hot temperatures of the volcano, but the ice melting was also allowing all the lava to seep through, since the ice was covering the rocks, and if the ice melted, then the rocks would be destroyed, allowing the lava to come through and wreak havoc. And if the lava were to seep out, this would cause the volcano to erupt and put the entire fucking island in danger. And so, the volcano was essentially very fucking close to erupting at this point. That's the TLDR. Blaine was doing all this fucking fear-mongering, but he wasn't actually doing anything to stop it. So fucking steam was rising up from the floor, more holes were being created by the cracking ice, and the fucking chains holding the gym battlefield up were even starting to break due to all the fucking chaos going on. At least Team Rocket wasn't a fucking problem at this point, as with the steam rising up, it essentially creates a huge geyser, which sends the ground that Team Rocket was standing on up, and it sends Team Rocket blasting off out of the volcano, through one of the holes that had been created in the chaos. Then, to make matters worse, the lava does in fact start flowing in, just as Blaine had warned. So, he gets his Magmar to start tossing rocks in the lava in an attempt to stop it from flowing. Pikachu, likely wanting to prove itself after its loss, wanted to help with the rocks as well, but Blaine stated that only Magmar could do it, as Magmar could resist the heat of the volcano, but if Pikachu got that close up, then it wouldn't be able to withstand it, due to not being a fire type. This leads Ash to then be like, okay, well if only fire types can withstand the volcano, then I can still help, and he decides to send out his Charizard to help, even though Charizard just refused to obey him yesterday. Like, it should be obvious that he wasn't going to do it this time either. And that's exactly what happens as Charizard simply sleeps on a rock behind Ash. It was fine though, because Magmar was handling everything on his own. Just kidding. The lava was flowing at such an immense rate that even all the rocks that Magmar had put in were beginning to fail as the lava seeped through them. This caused Blaine and Ash and the gang obviously to panic, noting how the rocks weren't being put in fast enough, with only Magmar doing so. Everyone's panicking makes Charizard open its eyes, where it immediately spots Magmar putting the rocks into the lava. Seeing this, it gets motivated to do the same suddenly, wanting to show off its own strength and not be shown up by Magmar. He proceeds to throw in rocks at a rapid pace, but even then, it's not enough. Ash is amazed that Charizard is actually doing something to help though, and gets an idea for how him and the gang can help out even more. Brock sends out his Onix and Geodude so they can do some of the heavy lifting, with Ash and Misty sending out their Squirtle and Staryu and Starmie respectively, so that they could spray water attacks to keep the rock Pokemon cooled off so that they wouldn't become like Molten Rock or some shit. Seeing everyone pitching in, Pikachu decides to help as well, despite Blaine telling him otherwise, and tries his best to do some of the lifting despite how small he was. Even Togepi tries to do a little bit of help, but it almost ends up falling off of the volcano, with Misty just barely catching it in time. Ash then has to deal with one more quick problem, as the Jigglypuff from Gary's hotel arrives at the volcano somehow and tries to put everyone to sleep with its singing, but Ash swiftly stops it in time, thankfully. Anyways, with that interruption dealt with, everyone's help was enough to successfully block off the lava and save the volcano from erupting. Yay! Everyone celebrated as Charizard and Magmar stared at each other intently, indicating that though they respected each other for helping with the cause, they really wanted to battle each other and prove just which one of them was stronger. Ash then asks Blaine if he could have the Volcano Badge as an award for stopping the volcano, which, to be fair, it was called the Volcano Badge, but Blaine denies Ash and instead offers him a chance to get the badge by having a rematch with him. Well, Ash, I guess you can officially celebrate that you're becoming a better trainer now, as gym leaders have stopped taking pity on you. Normally, a gym leader would have gave Ash the badge for something like this, but no, Blaine stuck to his guns, and he was going to make sure that Ash actually won the badge fair and square. And Ash was super hyped about this, ready to prove himself as he headed to the very fucking top of the volcano. We're not going to question how they got up there, but the volcano was going to be their battle arena, with the one inside the gym being destroyed. Ash and Blaine then agree that the battle would be a one-on-one battle as opposed to a regular 3-on-3, with them wanting to shake things up a bit, as a rematch was so rare. Ash initially decides to let Pikachu have his revenge against Magmar, but then Charizard steps up and he's like, "No bro, I want to battle this bitch, I want to prove I'm better than him." Ash is obviously shocked at Charizard's sudden willingness to battle, with Brock commenting his theory, which was obviously correct, that Charizard wanted to prove itself to Magmar and prove that it was the stronger Pokemon. Ash is ecstatic to finally have the chance to use Charizard in a battle, and proceeds to choose him as Blaine sends out his Magmar. The first attack is a double flamethrower, as both Pokemon send one out. With the flamethrowers having seemingly equal power, Magmar then throws in a Fire Blast to add to his flamethrower, which begins to overpower Charizard's flamethrower, and is about to send him back into the lava. But Charizard manages to dig his feet into the dirt and run up, sending the Fire Blast back at Magmar. Magmar then counters with a Skull Bash, which sends Charizard into one of the volcano's pillars. With the pillar breaking, Charizard has no back support, so it almost falls into the lava, but it manages to fly up and go back up to where Magmar was standing and lock up with him. Magmar was prepared for Charizard's attack though, and manages to flip him over and push both of them into the lava, leading Ash to freak the fuck out, thinking that Charizard might have just fucking died. Ash is like, "Yo, that's not fair, I didn't agree that my Pokemon could get killed during this battle, and like, we're supposed to be battling on the volcano, not inside the fucking lava." But Blaine states that they never did agree that they couldn't battle in the lava, they just said that they were going to battle in the volcano, and the lava was still part of the volcano. Ash then sadly stares at the lava, preparing to have to do a fucking funeral for Charizard, but suddenly, Ash almost gets fucking splashed with lava in the face as Charizard comes flying out of the lava with Magmar in its grasp. Ash and Blaine are both immensely shocked by this, obviously, but Ash doesn't waste a moment and orders Charizard to use Submission while in the air, followed by a Seismic Toss. Charizard does exactly this as it grabs Magmar and spins it around rapidly and then tosses it down at full speed into the lava. Magmar still refuses to die though, as it emerges from the lava and stands on a pillar. Charizard stands on a pillar opposite to it, and the two get into an immense fucking stare down, only for Magmar to fall over and collapse. How ironic, a Pokemon that was made of fire literally died of fire. Ash celebrates as Blaine then removes his wig, which he had put back on, as a salute for Ash. So like, you know how you're supposed to take off your hat when you listen to the national anthem? Yeah, Blaine basically viewed it as that. Ash, ecstatic that Charizard finally was listening to him, then ordered him to return into his Pokeball, only to be blasted by a huge flamethrower, revealing that Charizard was still as disobedient as ever. The only reason why it had agreed to obey Ash this time was because of its desire to overshadow Magmar. Basically, he still had a bone to pick with Ash, he just had a bigger bone to pick with Magmar. Blaine then escorts Ash and the gang down the volcano back to the mainland, with Ash expecting to get his Volcano Badge as a reward, but instead, Blaine simply gives him one last riddle as a reward, being, "What is red but has no words?" Ash and the gang are of course as confused as usual as to what the answer was, even Misty this time. They don't have to wait for long to figure out the answer though, as Blaine just decides to tell them, revealing that it was the Volcano Badge. Get it? It's red and it can't talk. Ash proclaims his hatred for riddles one last time as he says goodbye to Blaine and finally walks off with his 7th badge. We finally had it! Ash and the gang then continue their journey, walking through a forest on Cinnabar Island, when Ash asks Brock where the next gym was, hoping to not have a fucking 25-episode gap between gym battles. Brock then reveals that there was one specifically for high-level trainers who had already gotten most of the other badges, located in Viridian City. Ash is immediately confused by this, as he remembers Viridian City. It was the city that he was in all the way back in episode fucking 2, and he didn't recall there being a gym there. He bitterly questions Misty why she didn't tell him about it when they were in Viridian City, assuming that she would know, probably due to the fact that she was a gym leader. With Misty reasoning that her and Ash were too busy arguing at the time, so there was no way that she would have shared any information with him, even if she did know. Misty bringing up the fact that her and Ash used to argue a lot made him remember the reason why, which was due to Misty wanting a bike, due to Ash destroying her first one. Remembering how mad that it made Misty initially, he becomes frightened that she would suddenly remember and fucking try and kill him in his sleep or something, so he runs away. Misty then proceeds to remember about the bike incident, as Brock had told her, and she does indeed proceed to chase Ash, ready to kill his ass.